Hi, everyone. I will just wait a few seconds, making sure that everyone is has time to set up and is entering the room. It's great to see everyone tonight. Hi, I'm Alexia Matthieu. I'm the head of Master Media Design here at the University of Art and Design in Geneva. And I am with two of our students. I will let them introduce themselves. Maybe Peter, you can start.
Sure. Hi, I'm Peter. Originally based in Toronto, Canada, but here my first year in Geneva doing the Master of Media Design. And yeah, it's been really, really great so far. And you'll get to see what we've been up to.
And then Sarah.
So, hi everyone, I'm Sarah. I'm from Switzerland. I'm in second year in Master Media Design, and before I've made the bachelor at Genève in visual communication.
Great. So what we have planned for tonight is to present the master's program, what we do, what type of project we produce, and also the big question that we explore. And then, so that will be roughly 20, 30 minutes maximum, and then we'll have time for question. If while we speak, you have a question that pops in your mind, feel free to post it in the chat and I will get back to it at the end of the presentation. All right, so I'll share my screen and then we can start. Okay, so as I mentioned, I will present what we do in this program, what is actually media design. And first, I wanted to start with a quick show reel that basically really showcases the diversity of projects that we do in this MA program. Can you hear the sound? No? Okay, well, sorry, it's... Let me just, sorry, I wanted to try to have the sound typical. Let's see if I can share. Yeah, all right. I'll try again. I think this time it should work. Here you go. Sorry about that. Yeah, that should work now, no? Yeah, okay, great. Great. So yeah, let me tell you a little bit more about what we do. Media design is a master's program that is very much created for students or people who are already building the career that want to specialize in interaction design. Interaction design is the field where we create interactive system, product, experiences. It's very much everything that has to do with humans to machines relationship. And in our program, our students really get to produce and to learn how to produce various type of interfaces. Could be, immersive interfaces, experiences. It could be mobile interfaces. It could be also connected object. But what we really like to explore in this program is more like all the hybrid format that you can invent. Basically, imagine it, what type of new interfaces could we create? So over the course of 2 years, our students learn to create interfaces. And this could be, mobile interfaces like this program this project called Rewarn by Emma Parenté, where Emma, she imagined a new service where an AI will suggest to you how to repurpose your old clothes. So again, the program really much going to invite you to think about how does the interface look like, how does it work, but also what is the context you are addressing and how do we use it. Another example of an interface here is a diploma project by Amaury Hamon. It's a web experience where instead of discovering content through the eye or through the filter of the algorithm, you basically discover content as you kind of take on a walk in the interface. So we kind of like also to use new type of metaphor to create, I will say, alternative type of experiences. But you also get to learn how to create immersive and interactive installations. So this can take many forms because, immersive, and this is such a big word, but I will just show you a few examples. Here, it's a VR project called Abyssal Encounters that was created by Margot Herbelin and Dorian Jovanovic, where they imagine basically you are in the abyss, in the ocean, and you embody a light and you help shrimps escape like a big fish. But what's interesting and why I'm showing this experience here is how they created the asset. And as you can see here, the fish was created with old discarded electronics. They scanned the object and they imported it in Unity, and then suddenly the experience had a whole new, I will say, feel to it. So again, yes, you learn how to create immersive experiences with the technical tools, but we also ask a lot about how do you tell a story? What is the narrative structure of your experience? So it's also a big part of the program. Another type of immersive experience that our students get to experiment with, this was a collaboration with Mapping Festival, which is a local festival here in Geneva, where our students had to imagine content for a 360 screen. So again, yes, there is a technical aspect, there is a creative coding aspect, but we're going to spend a lot of time on what makes sense, how do you tell the story, how do you invite the audience in your experience. And we just finished this one, the interactive object. Peter will tell us all about it later. But yeah, after the more like I will say digital type of interfaces, we also have a semester project on how do you create an interactive object, and that's actually a quite important milestone in the program because you get to learn how to create field research, how to understand user needs, how to understand how people use those objects, and to create a new type of experience around it. And we take you through from the phase of the research, the concept, to the final production, where you basically create paper prototype, electronics, and also the final form. So for example, this is a lamp, kind of like, I will say, connected lamp that we created for an exhibition called Play Me a Story, where we had to imagine new form of interactions, new forms of narration, sorry. And here, students imagine this lamp that will interact with the book. And if you read the story, and if you say words such as, for example, love or cloud, the lamp will interact with the word you just say, and you will emit a different type of light. And the color of light will make that things in the book will disappear or appear according to the word that you just say. So we really like to imagine what type of alternative interactive experience can we create or prototype. That's another big project that we finished last year. It was in collaboration with Carandache, where we had to imagine the future of AI and drawing. What would it look like to draw with a digital assistant? And here, this is an example of one of the projects that were produced. We show the project at Kick Festival, but also at Platform 10 in Lausanne. Here, this is Souhaitone by Basile Brun, where basically you get to draw with light and sound. Another one is the Magic House by Lauren Till, where you basically create, I will say, an animated collective animation. So I will show you later a video of it. But Sarah will tell you more about her project, The Color Catcher.
So yeah, my project's called Color Catcher. and it allows you to create your own color palette from Caran d'Ache, because sometimes when you are drawing, you don't know how to finish it. Like you don't really know which colors to use or which one are mixing good together. And sometimes if you don't know how to mix some colors, it can like make like a mistake on your drawing if you feel like it. But it also allows you to be inspired by those colors. Maybe if you don't know what to draw, you can use it, have those colors, like, okay, maybe I can draw a forest with it. So yeah, this is the project.
Thank you, Sarah. And it's true that what was asked of our students was to identify a need or identify something that was maybe missing in a drawing experience that they could kind of fulfill with the digital assistant. And Sarah, she was very much looking at colors and how we make the color decision within the drawing process. Yeah, so as I mentioned, we showed those projects at the Click Festival in Namur, which is a great festival. You should check it out if you don't know it. It's great for our students. I mean, maybe Sarah, you can say a few words, but I think it's great because it gives you some like real live feedback on how your project basically works within a public context.
Exactly. Yeah, so we have the opportunity to have an exhibition in Platform Indies in Lausanne, and now it was a second exhibition with a new room, so a new setup for the exhibition with a new public in a new country. So yeah, we were there for like 4 days, and every day we have to talk with the public to explain our project and to have some direct feedback, and it was very like powerful like experience for us to talk about our project in a very like strict way, and also to show them how to play. Maybe you can talk to a child or to a grandmother or to an adult. So yeah, we have to train how to present our project to a different public.
Yeah, so then there were, I will say, overly tasted by a lot of kids, and they lived through it. So that was a good test run. Yeah, so after the module around interactive object, there is a part also of the course where you get to understand how do you create playful experiences and games. So we do create games in this program, but I will say we have a more independent approach to them, where we try to really think about the narration and try also to think about the subject that we explore within a game. So what I mean by that is, for example, we just this is, for example, a project by Arthur Grobly called Mot Bleu. That was a diploma project a few years ago, where you embody a little robot and you basically explore le Lac Léman here in Geneva, or not in Geneva, but in Suisse romande. Where basically the robot helps you understand the loss of biodiversity in the lake, and you have different levels where you have to kind of tackle different challenges. And what's interesting with the process of making that game is that Arthur really collaborated with scientific, but also with association around the lake to really build his game around real data. So that's a process that we very much encourage within the course, especially in the field of video games. Oops. Sorry. Another example is Trust the Repair by Nathan Zwaffel. Nathan was very interested in the question of repairing and what do you do with discarded electronics. And this is a mobile game where you get to, you basically are a worker in an office, and you have to repair electronics all day long. But then suddenly something happened. I'm not going to spoil you for you, but something happens where you start to be to question the decision that your company is making for you, and you have to decide: do you stay as I will say very obedient worker, or do you decide to actually be an activist and change the course of the company? So Nathan right now is has decided to launch his game studio here in Geneva, and really much would like to produce it. Another example that's very, I think, what we do in video game, because it mixes a lot of a genre, it's kind of an alien in a way, It's called Everyone Left Tower 499 by Margot Herbelin. This is her diploma project. And it's basically a documentary slash game slash narrative experience. And you arrive in the tower and everyone disappeared. What happened? And you basically discover and understand what happened by interacting with the fauna. So suddenly you might be a little worm, you might be a little fly, you might be all those different type of insects. But a lot of funny things happened. And Margot also decided to find fundings for here in Switzerland to basically produce her game. So I'm taking you through, like, basically so far through the different production. What do we do? What do you learn to create here in media design? But of course, as I mentioned several times, it's way beyond the technical aspect. There are three main themes that are very important for the course that are basically, I will say, reflected in the theme that we approach, but also in the research that some of our professors do in the team here. The first one is talking to robots. It's everything related to the impact of machine learning and AI in the practice of in the design practices in general. So yes, there is this big Gen AI that I'm sure all tried, Midjourney or ChatGPT, all those like big generative models. But as an interactive media course, we try to go beyond the generative models and we try to think about how can machine learning change the way we interact with objects? How would it change the way we interact with an interface, with a mobile application, for example, or with an object? Or what type of new experiences or playful experiences can we create with this tool and medium? This is, for example, a few projects from a workshop that we do each year with Oyo Studio. I will invite you to check their work. It's very great. It's Oyo, it's OIO Studio. And so this is very much the road that we're taking with those new tools, where students learn, for example, teachable machines, like how do you imagine, those new gestures, and how would you activate object in a new way through machine learning processes. This is, for example, recollecting a diploma object by Eli Hofer, where he created his own data set, which is very interesting medium for designers today. Instead of relying on, data set that were produced by big companies, how can you, as a designer, as an artist, emancipate yourself from those big generative models and create your own data set that's very much linked to your work and your practice? So here, Ellie was very much interested in the idea of collective memory. And you went in Plein Palais. If you join the course later and you go to Plein Palais, there's like a huge flea market there in Geneva. And Elie spent a lot of time collecting memories, collecting, like how people feel about Geneva. He created the data set, and then the machine basically gives you new memory out of the collective one. So it's a starting point. Elie really wants to travel with the machine and, gather all the type of memories. But that's one of the example of interactive project we have with machine learning and created data sets. So that was everything more related to machine learning. But the second big theme that is trying to take more and more, I will say, starting to take more and more space in the course is interaction design with limited resources. Because we are faced as designers with, like, I will say, the paradox where we are asked to innovate. And at the same time, we are asked to think about our impact, on the environment of our practice. So how do you solve this? I'm not saying we are solving anything. I'm not pretending at all. I think we are trying to raise questions, trying to find alternative ways of working within this paradox. And we invite each year Benjamin Gollon, which is a 5 days workshop where our students try to imagine new interactive experiences from discarded electronics. So sometimes the projects are always very joyous and very, I will say, wonky, but in a way they show us that innovating doesn't have to start from scratch with something new. You can actually use what you have around you and give them a new purpose and a new meaning. This is in the same kind of, I will say, direction. This is a diploma project by Faustine Perriot, Spectral Yard, where she imagined a new type of, I will say, narrative device out of discarded cables and plugs and consoles. And here, basically, what you plug in the device will tell different type of stories with the flowers. So again, you can use discarded electronics to imagine new usage, new interactive, I will say, experiences or games in this case. And maybe I will let Peter talk about this project. This was a project done in the creative coding workshop, where basically students learn how to use data to visualize a new type of phenomenon. Maybe Peter, you want to say if you have this image and I have the video afterwards.
Yeah, so this one is called cohabitation, done with my peer Tara Hatchler. And the purpose was to go out into Geneva with a few different devices to pick up electromagnetic waves and try to use your field research and field observations into a creative project. The turning point for this particular project was when we picked up signals from the air traffic control and pilots, and we knew that we had to do something around that. So from just picking up those signals from the school, we went to the actual airport, did some more field observations. We went to the place where there's the landing strip for the planes where photographers takes photos, and we were just fascinated by this, like the fence where people cut. And as we were standing there, wildlife control came and they played a sound to move birds away. So we wanted to show in the project the correlation, the cohabitation between birds and planes, especially because birds navigate using the electromagnetic wave field of the Earth, and then planes also use the same signals for communication. So we made this passive interactive experience using processing.
Great, thank you, Peter. I will show just an extract of the video. I don't know if we have time to show all of it, but just like a quick extract of it.
Birds navigate using the Earth's magnetic field, just as flights depend on radio waves for communication during takeoff and landing. Both are guided by natural forces, essential for precise navigation. This project explores the cohabitation of human-made and natural environments through a bird's-eye view. Using flight data and bird movements, this visualization highlights the interaction between these two. The scene takes place at the Geneva airport, showing flights taking off and landing, which is the common flight sequence where birds tend to interact with planes.
Great. And I think what we can say about those projects is that, yes, this was done much more in like this was a self-initiated idea, but you could use this methodology for like a tons of different like subjects and contexts as well. How do you use basically field research and data, and how do you communicate them in these two various medium? And the last subject of research in the course is everything related to storytelling and narration. I think I've mentioned that several times already. We really encourage our students to imagine new formats. This is a game by Dorian Jovanovic where you embody little lights and you basically walk around a factory. This was done in Unity, and all the assets that were used were completely made by Dorian, where he scanned them, imported them in Unity, transformed them. And it's almost a game that's at the intersection of an audio-visual experience, I will say. So this is the trailer that you're watching. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and then also, we have a big module in the first year if you want to learn VR, but more from a narrative standpoint. This was a collaboration we've done with Présence Suisse, where we had to imagine a VR experience for ID. I don't know if you're familiar with ID, but we had to imagine what would the ID world look like in a VR experience. And maybe, Sarah, do you want to say a few words before I show the trailer of the experience?
So for this VR game, we invited people to play as the author of ID, so Joanna Spirits. And so each people could create their own story and their own world, because when you play, you have two characters from the book talking about topics. and you can choose which one you want to listen or not by smashing one of them, like it was an ID she's writing. And depending on which one you're using, the world all around you will change. So depending of your answer, the world will change. So you won't have the same environment from another people. And so we decided for this to create, to start like prototyping in paper, like for the goats, for example. And after we use a Blender for the 3D assets and to put the story writing on them, we write some important parts of the story on the paper. We scan it, and after we put it on the asset to make it more alive and when it's like more tangible in a way and more like paper stuff. So yeah, that's it.
Great, thank you. I'll show a little like an extract of the gameplay, because it's nice. We really see the player making the choices and how it impacts the environment.
It's impressive to think about how many people can live in just one of these new infrastructures. There is many of them in the city.
The little houses on the mountain are so charming, but you know, in winter, it's a little cold inside even with the fireplace crackling.
So here we see the player just made a choice and the house will just stay in the environment, or the tiny house will stay literal. Yeah, and we also do collaboration. That's extremely important because we're a master's program and we want to make sure that our students are able to work in, I will say, professional context. So we collaborate with brands, with institutions. For example, we collaborated with Carandache that we already mentioned. We collaborated with Graduate Institute here, where students had to imagine the future of AI, of democracy and AI. So what would it feel to vote with an AI, which might be a future that we might be getting into? And maybe, Sarah, do you want to tell us about the AI machine and the mushrooms? I have this as well. Yeah.
So yeah, it was during a workshop about design speculative, where we had to start to create a world building, like a scenario, to have a constructive narration for our project. So for the question about how people will live in 2050 and how democracy will work, it's basically like we thought in 2050 people will leave the city to go to the countryside, and they will live in eco village, and each eco village will have symbiosis. So this is the structure you see here, working with mycelium mushroom. And you can place, like there is a zone scan area when you can put like wood stuff or electronic stuff or stone. And when you put it on the scan area, there will be some information about it and a micropolitic that you can vote about. And we want to make like an installation to help citizens to exchange their resources between those eco village and to avoid future waste. So yeah, that's pretty much it about symbiosis.
And you also went to pick up real mushrooms and you took care of them to make yeah.
So yeah, it was a very fun part. Like we had the opportunity to talk about a mushroom farmer, I guess, and it helped us to talk about mushroom, because it's like, okay, those mushrooms are not working with your scenario, or those one will die very easily because we have to spray water during few days to keep them alive. So yeah, it helped us for our scenario, and also it gave us some mushroom that you saw on the picture to make it work. So it was very cool.
Yeah, exactly. And this installation was showed at the Week for the Democracy in Geneva, where basically the visitors got to understand what would be the impact of AI on democracy. And we will show it again in Bern in the same type of context this spring. So yeah, you might learn how to grow mushrooms in this course. You never know where it will take you. And another example, although we have many, but another one is with Grand Prix de l'Horlogerie. here, which is a prize for watches in Geneva. Of course, we are in Switzerland. And students had to imagine drawing machines that were showcased at the exhibition with the watches as well. So again, you can see all the different type of contexts our students get to collaborate with. Either it's more scenography type of context or more speculative design, imagining the future or imagining new type of object like the Manda with Caran d'Ache. And each year it's very important for me that our students get to show their project in different festivals. Sarah already talked about KIC Festival in Namur. We collaborate each year with GIF Festival, which is a film festival here in Geneva, with Mapping Festival. And this year we're aiming at going to Amaze in Berlin. But each year really our students get to showcase their project in, I will say, professional environment. And how do we do all this? I will try to go a little bit faster on the methodology part now that I talked about all the various production you can do here and also the area of research that we do in the course. So observation and fieldwork is extremely important to us. Students learn to create their own field research. They learn how to observe a context, how to ask questions, how to conduct interviews with people, to really much understand how do people relate to technologies or to what's around them. And then they will use these insights in their prototype, in their design projects. So again, that's a very important part of what you will learn. And on that note, I will let Peter tell us about a project we've just finished in collaboration with INRIA and CNRS, two big important research centers in Paris, in France, where we had to imagine the future of soft robots. What would they look like? What could they do? Trying to basically, again, show alternative ways of relating with technology.
Yeah, so this was our semester. Yeah, so this was our semester-long project that we just wrapped up, and my area of interest for the domestic space was Vietnamese ancestor altars, which is something that most Vietnamese people have, whether they're in Vietnam or outside of Vietnam in the diaspora. The image that you see here is in a Western context, and also similar to how my parents have it. There's tinfoil at the top to protect the ceiling. So I did a lot of field research and asked family and friends to send photos to me. I also asked people to do a floor plan and do a drawing of the altar and where they would place it, asked them to name it and what's the most important part to get some qualitative insights. And I used all my research, and there's more to it. I did interviews as well and sketching and drawing, and also online because I didn't have direct access to an altar, so I had to find other ways to do research. And I used all that to filter into prototypes. And the early prototypes were to address the practical aspect of capturing smoke, maybe bringing the altar on the go. How can you always stay connected to someone in the afterlife? And then we did a lot of different paper prototypes throughout the semester, which then results into a physical final piece, and what you can see here. So the idea here is that you can send messages via your device to the vessel, and the vessel, when activated, when all the incense are placed in, and when the lid is flipped over, there's electronics inside that transmits or activates the fan, and the fan would then have different smoke signals to interpret the different sentiments of the messages that were sent.
Yeah, we don't have a video because we are shooting them tomorrow, literally, but we'll post them on our Instagram page if you want to see Peter's project in action. But yeah, now I think you got a good feel of the observation and field work and how do we use that in our interactive project. Another big part of the course is prototyping and testing. This is a design course. So all the very nice looking project I showed you since the beginning of this presentation, they basically look like this at some point, which is a paper prototype. And yeah, it's very important for us that our students learn the iterative process of making, basically trying different shape with the user, going back to the drawing board, trying again, also test the electronics and how people understand the interaction. So, for example, the really cute house, it looked like this at the beginning. So again, you be encouraged to try a lot of different form and shapes while you are in the studio with us. This is, for example, an electronic prototype during our electronic laboratory where students learn the basic of Arduino. Sometimes prototypes look like this, kind of silly, but we can learn a lot from them. And each year we organize a testing session where students learn the testing methodologies because, of course, as an interaction designer, you have to test your project and making sure people know how to use them and understand how to use them. So yeah, it's always kind of a fun few days where we all get to be together and learn those methodologies. And we talked a little bit about this, but there is also a part of critical thinking and anticipation. Sarah mentioned, more like design fiction, trying to think of alternative ways of relating to technology. So that's also very much part of the course. This is the structure, so you can get an idea of how the year is structured. This is the first year. First semester, you get to learn field work, how to conduct interviews. You have the basic of creative coding, either it's processing of P5GS, and some also the semester project around, as I said, interactive object, where you learn all the methodologies of prototyping. And the second semester of the first year is very much around 3D and VR, and how do you build a narration within an immersive experience. The second year is basically about you. What do you want to do? What type of designer you want to become? How do you position yourself within the field of interaction design? The semester 3 is about your master thesis. So we are very open to the subject you can explore. It's very diverse. You can have a more practical, playful, critical approach. That's completely fine. And then the semester 4 is about your diploma project. We also have classes on scenography and communication, as well as production. So how do you produce a game and insights in this type of field? Yeah, so as I said, master thesis is about you. You work with the tutor, so it's very, I will say, tailored to your needs. It's a very, I will say, prestigious environment to be in. And then the final degree show, always like a collective fun exhibition that we do in June. We have seminars with creative technologists and designers that are all on our YouTube channel if you want to have a look. It's a lot of really great, inspiring talk about the practices of creative coding. And some practical info real quick. It's taught in English because our students come from all over the world. Peter is from Canada, but we have students that are from Brazil, South Korea, China. I'm forgetting. I don't know if I think it's like Switzerland, of course, France, and other countries. And everyone has different backgrounds, graphic design, product design, fashion, engineer. I'm forgetting backgrounds again because it's always so diverse. But what's great is that you also get to learn from your peers, not just from the professor. And it's true that we try to foster an environment where people help each other out and you get to share your skills with your colleagues. It's 4 semester, it's 120 ECTS credits, it's full-time. There is an optional internship that you can do in the summer between the first and the second year. It's quite intense, I have to say. There's no technical prerequisite, so if you don't know how to code or how to do 3D, do not worry. We really much cater the level of our teaching according to the students we have each year, but we do require a strong curiosity for digital cultures or game or interaction in the portfolio. We really would like you to show that you have references in this field, that maybe you tried stuff out by yourself. Even if it's not working, that's completely fine, but try to show to us that you have at least a bit of curiosity for this field. This is the team. Each professor have their own area of research. Those are the visiting lecturers. We are very lucky to have them. Sabrina Calvo, she's a game designer. We also have, for example, Matteo Lolio from Oyo Studio. Cross Lucide are coming this year. So again, they come from different parts of the world and they bring always like very interesting and sharp insights within the field of interactivity. And what's next after the program, where some of our alumni decide to set up their own studio. So they might join an incubator or try to find fundings in Switzerland to launch their game studio or their agencies. Most of our alumni go into creative industries, so it's could be very broad. It could be doing VR experience for a museum, or it could be working in the communication agencies as a creative technologist. And or other alumni decide to go into research to do a PhD. And this is here you can take a screenshot. This is not all our alumni. There's a lot of them. This is a small selection, but I chose those names because it will really much show you the diversity of profile. Some, for example, Studio Zedin is really much about immersive experiences. Benoît Renaudin is at the intersection of music and games. Bureau 1217 is graphic design agency. Studio Tourmaline is a game design agency. So you can have a look and you'll see that all of them find their own positioning within the field of interaction design. This is our Instagram if you want to keep up with the, I will say, what we do. And this is my email address. Feel free to reach out. And yeah, it was great to present to you our program. I will stop sharing the screen and we will answer some of the questions that you might have. You can post them in the chat, or if something wasn't clear, also Peter and Sarah can share the perspective from their student experience. Oh, okay. Do you have suggestion on how to prepare the two required text and the application file for them? Yeah, so I mean, you know, Peter and Sarah didn't have a background in media design, neither interaction design before joining the course. So my suggestion would be that in those texts, you try to explain to us a subject that you'll be interested in. You know, like just tell us, maybe you're interested in the environment, maybe you're more into game and narration, maybe you are more into a question around society and technology. Just really want to get an idea of what is your interest within the field of interaction design. Peter, Sarah, do you want to give an advice maybe for Valeria on how to, you know, write the text for the applications?
Maybe show some interest that you have, like the different interests that you have, to show that you are a curious person and you are not like shaped in just one specific subject, and you are open to work with others, and also that you want to learn with others. And so yeah, from my text, that's mostly, if I remember well, that's what I put, like all the interest that I have, to show that there is a various subject, even if it's not like interactive stuff. And also that I'm very like open to work with others, and that I want to learn from others. And yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Peter, do you want to add something to that, or?
Yeah, I think, you know, just looking at the presentation, you can also tailor towards what was talked about. And like we do a lot of research, field observation. So if you have an academic background, you could speak to that, even if it's not in media or art.
Great, thank you. I hope it answers the question. If you want to ask a follow-up question, feel free. And then we have a question from Delphine. Could my current experience and skills in English, despite holding only a B1 certification, be considered? Yes, yes. I wouldn't see why not. It's true that we do ask certification in English. Those information are all on the head website. Because we teach in English, and all our professors, you know, they come from all over the world, so English is our teaching language. But yes, there will be no issue, I think. Oh, sorry, for oh. No, I didn't see, sorry, I didn't see all the question because it wasn't loaded properly. No, yeah, so I think you do need to have the B2 requirement. What I will suggest is that you take the Duolingo test. It's actually the cheapest. And the only thing you need to be careful of is, I think they check your eyes where it goes. So just make sure you don't like turn your head. But I would advise that you try Duolingo. Again, head is we are very understanding with this, and if you have questions, you can reach out to admission office. All the information are on the head website. But I would suggest that you try to do the Duolingo thing. Additionally, is there a creative exam required in addition to the portfolio? No, there is no creative exam. What we request is two things. First, that we show that you present your portfolio, and also two texts, one that where you present yourself, and the second one where you present a project that you would like to develop in the course. So again, I will advise to try to have the B2, and I'm sure with the B1 level, the B2 is totally reachable. Are applicants required to have background knowledge in tools such as Unity, or do you not? Okay. As I said in the presentation, you do not need to have technical prerequisites. So if you do not know how to use Unity or any other creative coding language, that's fine. We teach the foundation of those. Maybe Sarah or Peter, do you want to say a few words about this? Maybe Peter?
Yeah, so don't need to know any technical background. We dedicate time to learning that portion. And I would say the more important part is really doing research and coming up with concepts and being able to communicate it. And you will have peers around you that have more experience in the engineering or coding part, and they can help you with that as well.
And I think something for the Unity, maybe 3D. Do you want to say a few words, Sarah, on that?
Yeah, during my visual communication bachelor at ED, we learn a bit in 3D, but really like don't take this like an example. Like we learn 3D, and we spend like maybe 2 weeks or more to learn really like different skills about 3D and different like application for it. So yeah, I'm still learning how to use 3D, and I'm in second year. So yeah, you just don't need to learn 3D before. You just learn during the course, and it's gonna work perfectly. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think interaction design is the type of field where you always have to perfect your skills, and it's kind of a ongoing learning curve, I'll say. How many applicants do you have every year? It very much depends. We have sometimes we have 50, sometimes we have 60, sometimes we have a bit less. But I will say that in general, we have classes between 12 and 18 students. I hope this answer your question, Arthur. Tips on the interview. Well, do you want to maybe take that, Peter, and then Sarah?
Yeah, so tips is to review what you have in your portfolio and what you've written. Come prepared with some references in terms of the media and art world, because it's good to talk about not just about yourself, but what you are aware of, what's going around. And, just have practice with other people talking about your work before you start the interview, like in advance, like just talk to your friends, family, whoever you can.
Sarah, do you want to say a few words about tips for the interview?
Yeah, I think coming with references is like the main point also. Like if someone asks you, what do you like 3D, and you don't know which references you like, well, learn before. And maybe if it's logical with your portfolio, come with the project with like a tangible project, because normally people like to touch it and to ask some question about it. So if you can take it, so yeah, I think it's it.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. The interview is not something you should stress about. It's very much just a conversation where we want to make sure that you and us are a good fit, and that you will also feel good in our program, and this is actually what you are looking for. So it's very much just a conversation. So if you can prepare projects, and if you have references in your mind that you can share with us, then that's great. And the interview will be in English. We also do interview online and in Geneva. If you can come, that's great. Do we learn open frameworks in the creative coding class or just P5JS? So This is Jacques. This is a great question. So we have in our professor called Douglas Edric Stanley. I put his website on the chat, and he basically knows tons of language and open frameworks. He did a lot of tutorials online. So I will say that we teach processing and P5JS, but let's say if for your project it makes sense that you use open framework, then we will go into that. You know, it's very important to understand that this course is first and foremost about the research about how we relate to technology and then what makes sense to use as a tool, you know? So it's never going to be just a workshop on Unity or on P5JS. You know, there's always going to be a concept and research component to that. And for example, throughout the semester, we just finished a big project with the students, and they all use different tools within the project. So it's which tool will make sense for your project, and the professor can help you find solution with that. We also have the pool numérique that's here in Geneva that will help you in the school, that will help you also find technical solutions. So yes, it could be, you know, that we teach open framework if it makes sense for your project. Do we need to present an abstract idea for a master's project when preparing the admission file, or does it need to be a fully... So, you know, I don't really know, Valeria. I think the best thing is that you present your project. Tell us where you're at, you know. Maybe you have something abstract, but then in that case, I will suggest that you give us references, that you illustrate it with like a context or artists that you're inspired by, or images that you even took, you know, around you in the city or wherever you live. And if it's a fully concept, great. You know, I think we are very much open to both. Again, what we are looking for is for people who are, you know, curious in interaction design and that have basically they have a question they want to explore. It could be that you are very fascinated by games or fascinated by, I don't know, how people use social media. So just make it you know. I think don't try to fake it, just make it truthful to you, and I think that's what we are looking for. I hope it answered the question, Valeria. Yeah. So, will it be possible the diploma project is a personal film? Yeah, I mean, why not? You know, I think this is a long way ahead. Because I think maybe Peter and Sarah can say that they entered the course with an idea of a project and it shifted completely with what they discovered. So yes, you know, all the diploma projects, they take a lot of different shapes. You know, some are games, some are interactive experiences, some are hybrid objects, some also have no technology at all. So it's very open what you can produce for the diploma project. So hey, if it's a short movie with 3D, that's great. It sounds like you have a specific idea in mind. So tell us about it in your admission file. But maybe, Sarah, do you want to say a few words about this because you are in second year now?
You are asking me about the first idea I had?
Yeah, kind of. No, like how it changes through, you know, the course. Basically, you apply with an idea and it evolves because I feel like you did, no? Or did this stay truthful?
Yeah, I still into the biodiversity thing, but like I just came with an idea about a subject and about maybe creating an object for biodiversity, but I have no idea which tool I can use and which program I can use. And now, during all the courses we have, creating an object maybe is not the best opportunity for me that I want to try more. Maybe now I'm more into 3D stuff because I really like those courses. And I was really like more, how can I say this, invest in my own practical way into this. So yeah, it's like the big subject about biodiversity, that there is so many things inside, didn't change. But like the idea, it's not the same at all. So no worry about it. And even at the end, it's not the same subject. It's all right either. So the change is normal.
And Faye, if you join the course and you end up doing this, then great. You know, I'm just saying. And Delphine, what are the career opportunities on the job market after graduating for this master's program? So as I said at the end of the presentation, there are 3 tracks. The first one is entrepreneurship, where our alumni decide to start their own studio. So some will join an incubator here in Geneva to launch either the communication agency or the game design studio. And other go work in creative industries. So it could be as creative technologies, interactive designer. Some work in communication agencies. Other will work for museum, where they will create interactive experiences for the museum. Other decide to take more an artistic, we'll say, trajectory, where they create installation and they work, by finding fundings. And other decide to do research. I will say it's very diverse, the type of job that you can find. Do you help us find an internship? Is it hard to find a job after the master? So I don't do the contacting for you, but what I do is that we have a list of agencies that are in Switzerland and around Europe where you can contact. Geneva is an interesting context. It's a very international city. Head Genève is a big university. And at the same time, I think our students find relatively quickly a job. I think within 6 months or a year, the majority of our graduates have a job. But I will say it'll go quicker if you move out and then if you explore other cities in Europe. That will be the reality. Is it hard to find a job after the master? I will say no, because the skills that we teach are usually very sought after in the creative market. And I will just answer the last question because I hope it answers your question, Elenga. I hope I'm pronouncing right. Which is the criteria for letting the students pass the phase 1 of the selection? So we look at basically the trajectory of the students. We look at their background. We also look at the quality of the project that they propose. Do they have curiosity in the field? Do they show capacity to have, maybe references? Are they able to ask interesting questions within this field? So I think we look at really much the quality of the proposition and the project that is being described, and also the quality of the portfolio. Again, if you have nothing in interaction design, that's fine. Do not stress about this. Just create a portfolio that reflects the most your practice. Try to curate it so you could see how it will fit within the course. If you only have illustration, just put illustration. If you only have graphic design work, that's also fine. But I think we look at the quality of the portfolio and the quality of the motivation letter and the project that is proposed. Yeah, I think we did it. It's an hour already. I hope it answered all the questions properly. If not, you can also go to this website on Admission Head, where you have all the key information also regarding the deadline. The deadline for to send your portfolio and for the first round is 25th of March at 5 p.m. Swiss time. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for all your attention, and thank you, Peter and Sarah, for joining me tonight. See you soon. Bye-bye.